And good morning, everybody. I jumped the gun a little bit, but that's okay. How you doing? It's Thursday, and normally this would be an FTG Thursday, but I just I'm a little under the weather, as you may know, and I didn't do a lot of I didn't watch a lot of the news yesterday. Although I did get some things from the Discord server and from my normal sources. And so I'm just going to run through a bunch of stuff today because something that was bothering me that I keep seeing, and it's usually coming from CNN tweets. And whenever they talk about the president that we have, not the president that they want, they love to use the word baseless. When the president's baseless accusations of election fraud. The president's, without evidence. They have a whole style book when talking about anything the president says. Now they should have learned when they were using those words talking about the vaccine, right? So, earlier in the year, the president was talking about how, vaccine by the end of the year, and there's no way that blah, blah, blah. Experts say this and that, yada, yada, yada. And it always turns out when they start making those kinds of claims about what the president says, it's kind of weird how it always turns out in the end, he's kind of right. We have a vaccine. In fact, they already started administering it in this country. And so when they talk about it, now the other part of this too, now when they say baseless, especially when they start talking about the election, okay, that's one side is making claims about the election that are baseless. Now you can say that if you are covering all the events that are going on in the country. There have been hearings in multiple states. There have been data analysis in multiple states. There has been experts looking into machines in multiple states. Testimony by eyewitnesses in multiple states. So if they would just cover some of these events, whether they think these witnesses are correct or not, you might understand that the word baseless may be an inaccurate way to put this. Clearly, there are people out there that don't think it's baseless. So their new style book use of words is kind of baseless. So anyway, today I'm going to spend a little bit of time on some of the breaking news regarding some of the election stuff, and I got some other stuff. But it's going to be haphazard. I might shorten the show today. I'm sweating, and it's because I do have a fever now, and we'll see how I'll make it through the whole hour and a half. But for now, I'm going to play the intro. Play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, It's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. I am so happy to be here. It is Thursday, the 17th of December, 2020. Did I mention that I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet? I don't know. Welcome back to the PDawgKnight Channel. So, yeah, we're gonna. So all this baseless BS. Well, there's a lot of reason to, now, whether you like the reasons or not, there's a lot of reason to be concerned about some of the shenanigans that went on during the election. Now, they might not change a damn thing when you get done auditing the vote. You never know. But you never know, and you'll never know until you do the audits, until you do the investigations. And apparently, nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody. There's a certain segment of our society that doesn't want to do the investigation. And that, to me, that's a problem. You would think, now, is it just because you don't want our country to look like a third world banana republic? I don't care. I want you to get it right. And if in the end you get it right and we still have President-elect Joe Biden, then so be it. It's fine. But you know what? You can't dismiss the evidence. You can't dismiss the eyewitnesses' testimony. You can't dismiss the forensic analysis until you report on it. And what CNN refuses to do, and most of the major Democratic talking point media has been doing, as they've been ignoring the evidence. Now, the hearings are out there. They've been on the internet. There are some people that have been, or some outlets that have been covering the hearings, just playing them without commentary. It's not like they're not out there. In fact, I don't. Excuse me. I got to keep the flowing there. I don't even know if C-SPAN has covered any of them. And not that C-SPAN is C-SPAN's, I don't know. I don't even know if C-SPAN's been covering these hearings around the country. But again, if you don't cover them, then of course they're baseless to you. If you do this, oh, it's baseless because I don't see the evidence over there. It's a little bit silly. Anyway, let's run a quick good morning to everybody, and then we'll get into the news. First in the chat today was our friend Jesse Leon, who was first against the bell. Also, good morning to Stabbin' Joe Scarborough, keeping the knife sharp. Keenan is in the house. Reason Vision, nice to see you here live every once in a while. Nice to have you here. Good morning, Advocatus Diabli, the Devil's Advocate. Also, good morning to Mr. No, James PFP, Molly Maggs, nice to see you back. Atheist Icon, hello. Good morning, Bim Jim, here early. Nice. Good morning, Reese Donalds. Also, Katie did skate. Is in the house. Hello. Donatello Slappafellow, my favorite name on the internet. Annalyn, hello. Riesler, that's a new one. Hope you saw my message about using the elderberry syrup. Get better, sir. I did not see that note yet. I'm wondering if that is in my last video? By the way, if you haven't seen my last video, just be sticking a big old thing up my nose and I took the COVID test. Anytime now, let's see. It's been, let's see. That was on Monday. No, that was on Tuesday. So by tomorrow, I should be getting an email telling me whether or not it is the vid or if it's just whatever else you could be getting this time of year. It's not the first time I've felt like this, though. But anyway. No, but I will look for that. Thank you, Riesler. Also, good morning. I said Annalyn already. Wait, what? By the way, rather than having coffee today, I have tea with honey and a little bourbon to help keep the cough away, even though I can't taste it. I wonder if I put too much in there. You're probably wondering too much of what. Anyway, also good morning to Uncle Stepdad, one of the many uncles who show up on the show. Good morning, Jonathan Peterson. Also, let's see, Adam Richard, how you doing? Cairo Alexander, Cynical Lindsay, Stephanie Vital Brown. Oh, it jumped. I'm going to make sure I get everybody today because it happens all the time when the chat jumps. Also, Zero the Hero, what's up? Black Keeper Israelite.
That's right.
Also, Selected Boys here.
Yeah, boy.
Good morning. Joe Biden's in the house, also known as Uncle Bad Touch. Jason Arnold. I hope that doesn't bother you. I know you're not really Joe Biden, but I just think it's a funny joke. I hope you enjoy that joke. And that's what I think of when I think of Joe Biden, Uncle Bad Touch. Good morning, Jason Arnold. Good morning also. And let's see. Is that everybody? Adam Richard, how you doing? Have I got everybody? I think I've got everybody. All right. That's a good start. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
All right. Anyway, welcome to the show. And I'll try to keep up with people who pop in and out, but that's okay. So the big news from yesterday, thank you, Gunfox61, who dropped this one. Now, this is Gateway Pundit, Jim Hoft, who's been hyperbolic on things, but this report yesterday is probably worth the hype. The breaking news yesterday, later in the evening, was Catherine Herridge from CBS News reports that Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, confirmed that there was foreign election interference, by China, Iran, and Russia in November. Interesting. CBS correspondent Catherine Herridge reported Wednesday that DNI John Radcliffe told CBS that there was foreign election interference by China, Iran, and Russia in November of this year. What did Radcliffe say about election fraud and interference? Well, DNI Ratcliffe leads the 17 intelligence agencies. He has access to the most highly classified information that is held by the U.S. government. And he told CBS News that there was a foreign interference by China, Iran, and Russia in November of this year, and he is anticipating a public report on those findings in January, which is fascinating. I don't know what that means, what the level of interference. I don't know. Who knows what that means, but I suppose that's significant. For the record, DNI Ratcliffe traveled with President Trump to the Army-Navy game last weekend. What is this? Not making headlines. Okay, whatever. So for whatever that's worth, I guess we'll learn more. Here's the report. Let's see.
What did Ratcliffe say about election fraud and interference?
Well, DNI Ratcliffe leads the 17 intelligence agencies, and he has access to the most highly classified information that is held by the U.S. government. And he told CBS News...
Hang on. First, real quick, thank you, Fox Gunpowder. Oh, we have a new sponsor. Outstanding. Fox Gunpowder. When trying to start a revolution, we know you have your choices of gunpowders. We just hope you use Fox brand gunpowder. There you go. A little guy. That's I wonder if they have a little Guy Fawkes mask on the front of the packaging. And keep that powder dry. Thank you. Thank you very much for the 1105. Very kind and very generous donation. First donation of the day, and Fox Gunpowder.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar Donor of the Day.
All right. Thank you very much. By the way, you can do donations through Streamlabs in the description down below, or it'll pop up in the chat, or you can do YouTube super chats now that I am still monetized. I keep hovering right around that 1,030, and it goes up and down just from there. But if you guys would share the stream out, maybe we'll get some more subscribers. Who knows? But and a lot of you do, so I appreciate that. All right, let's listen to what she said exactly here.
What did Ratcliffe say about election fraud and interference?
Well, DNI Ratcliffe leads the 17 intelligence agencies, and he has access to the most highly classified information that is held by the U.S. government. And he told CBS News that there was foreign election interference by China, Iran, and Russia in November of this year, and he is anticipating a public report on those findings in January.
What did Ratcliffe say about...
So anyway, that's... So we got that. And then now, interesting, now this is from a Breitbart article. The deep state pushes to deep six the intelligence report, demonstrating Chinese interference in the 2020 election. Of course. I didn't mean to go full chink on you, but I'm also trying to not cough up a lung. Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe is considering not signing an intelligence report to Congress if it does not accurately reflect an ongoing debate among intelligence community career analysts over Chinese attempts to influence American voters in the 2020 election. According to a source familiar with the issue, I'm always wary. And CNN and the New York Post. Excuse me, it's not the New York Post, the Washington Post, and CNN have ruined my confidence in the phrase "a source familiar with the issue." I don't know. It just always gets me. Hello, Uncle Bobbity, Mr. Scott, and I think that's just it. I said Cairo Alexander. Anyway, the intelligence report on foreign efforts to influence the 2020 election is due to Congress on Friday, but Ratcliffe is concerned it will not accurately reflect the debate among senior intelligence community analysts as to the extent of China's influence operations during the election, according to the source. Well, they don't want a hint that somebody was trying to help Joe. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming out about him. His son requested money and all this kind of stuff. It's not good. And the way they spiked that Hunter Biden story back in November, that could be considered election interference. Anyway, good morning, Johnny Hellcat. There is allegedly ample raw intelligence about China's intentions and actions related to the election, with more intelligence reporting coming in every day. Some of the influence operations include social media campaigns. What, did they buy Facebook's ads too? Because, we had a 3-year investigation because Russia was buying Facebook ads. Seeking to amplify messages such as that President Donald Trump is a white supremacist. However, senior career analysts disagree on the significance of those influence operations. Really? Again, we had 3 years of investigation because of some Russian Facebook ads. Just reminding you. Some analysts argue that they were minimal or ultimately not acted on, while others say it is extensive and far more than previously known. The disagreements include whether there should be a China section in the report, according to the source. Despite this serious debate, Ratcliffe is concerned that proper tradecraft, which would require that the disagreement be reflected in the report with both views represented, will not be followed simply in order to deprive President Trump of a potential political talking point. In other words, Ratcliffe is concerned that the intelligence report would be written in a way due to politics. Oh, shocker. The very definition of politicized politicization of intelligence and only bury real and growing concerns about China from the intelligence community. A senior national security official told Breitbart News on Background, quote, "Good to see Radcliffe stepping up and addressing China issue inside the IC. This appears to be a textbook case of intelligence being politicized by a handful of careerists in the bowels of the CIA. They don't want to give Trump the talking points that China was engaged in election influence operations, but we all know they were." Radcliffe has applauded the growing focus among the intelligence community on China, which he said for the last few decades has prioritized counterterrorism. He wrote in an op-ed on December 3rd in the Wall Street Journal, quote, "Within intelligence agencies, a healthy debate and shift in thinking is already underway. For the talented intelligence analysts and operators who came up during the Cold War, the Soviet Union and Russia have always been the focus. For others who rose through the ranks at the turn of the century, counterterrorism has been the top of mind. But today we must look with clear eyes at the fact in front of us, which makes it plain that China should be America's primary national security focus going forward." Well, I guess, yes. They seem to have the largest influence operations all over the world. They've got their fingers pretty much in every continent. So there's that. All right. I'm hanging in there, guys. I'm hanging in there. Also, on that kind of a note, though, now you can decide what you think of Maria Bartiromo or not, but she also drops a bomb, a bombshell. Every one of us who voted for Trump believes that the only reason Biden appeared to walk away with more votes was because of massive election fraud. On Tuesday, during her morning show, Maria Bartiromo dropped what must be, in this crazy year, the mother of all bombshells. According to Bartiromo, an intel source told her that Trump won the election. It's now up to the Supreme Court, said the source, to stop the clock from running so the proper election result can be implemented, returning Trump to the White House. Americans are used to losing elections. In a two-party system, after all, one side always loses. Traditionally, the losing party licks its wounds and works to do better next time. That changed in 2016 when Democrats refused to accept that Trump had won the election without any vote fraud or manipulation. They ginned up a Russia collusion hoax that was long on paranoia and short on facts that showed how Russia got Americans to vote for Trump. The whole thing fell apart with the Mueller report's reluctant admission that there was no collusion. Now, in 2020, things are different. There are dozens of proofs that Democrats gamed the election. Some of what they did was just dirty politics. For example, when they used the Wuhan flu to destroy Trump's crown jewel, the American economy. That wasn't fraud, it was just evil because it meant destroy the livelihoods, savings, hopes, and dreams of millions of Americans. Democrats also relentlessly castigated Trump as a singularly evil man, right up there with Hitler. Credulous people believe this. Democrats also accelerated their years-long efforts to destroy election integrity. In the past, they jettisoned voter ID, implemented motor voter registration, resisted cleaning old voter rolls, made it easier for illegal aliens to vote, and authorized ballot harvesting, which is just, that's a terrible thing. They go granny shopping in retirement homes and never mind. Anyway, the Wu flu allowed them to go to town with universal absentee ballots, mail-in voting, and the abolition of ballot deadlines. Indeed, some states got so excited that they forgot to have the legislature sign off on these changes, making invalid all votes that came in via those illegitimate means. And the court hasn't done anything about it. Anyway, and don't let anyone fob you off by claiming that it's not fair to Biden voters suddenly to invalidate those votes just because their Democrat or Georgia Rhino governments cheated. How about the counter argument, which is it's not fair to Trump voters to invalidate their votes because the Biden voters supported cheating politicians? Big tech and media help. Big tech, talk about election interference. Just Twitter in particular. Now I don't look, even though Twitter, well, never mind. Let me just skip that idea. Big tech flooded Democrat zones with money and systematically silenced conservatives right up to Donald Trump himself. Most nefariously, tech and the media blacked out all news about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's corrupt entanglement with China. There was also old-fashioned cheating, phony ballots, dead voters, endlessly recounted ballots, the voting machines that were intentionally set to alter votes. Multiple analysis revealed that even if one accepted that the majority of mail-in ballots counted after the physical polls closed were for Biden, those ballots still were insufficient to elect him. Bizarre spikes, fake shutdowns of counting, and mathematically impossible increases in vote counts all pointed to Venezuelan voting machines doing for Trump what they've done for Chavez and Maduro. The other way around. I think they meant for Biden. Anyway, evidence other than the polls also predicted with virtually 100% certainty that Trump would win. Trump massively increased his support with minorities while Biden lost black support. In the Rust Belt, Trump won the all-important cookie votes. I don't know what that means. Oh, the cookie poll. Anyway, that's funny. Trump had extraordinarily long coattails while Biden had none, and Trump voter enthusiasm was through the roof. Another giveaway was that Democrats only pretended to campaign. Biden hid in the basement and wouldn't talk to the media, and Kamala hid too. They knew that the fix was in, so why bother? Fox News gave the game away when it insisted that Arizona was a Biden state long before there was sufficient data to make that call. Despite the evidence, the courts have been craven. While leftists crow that Trump and his allies keep losing in court, Trump supporters have noticed that the courts have consistently refused to look at the evidence. So far, the Supreme Court has been just as bad. And that gets to Maria Bartiromo's Tuesday morning bombshell. According to Bartiromo, an intel source reports that the Supreme Court is the only thing that can stop the fraud. So here's her... Here we go.
An intel source telling me that President Trump did, in fact, win the election. He says that it is up to the Supreme Court to hear suits from other cases across the country to stop the clock. This follows the High Court's refusal to hear the lawsuit from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, challenging results in 4 swing states. So
that's what she says. Who knows? Who knows what her intelligence source is, but I don't know. This is one of those days where I probably get a video taken down. Hello, Christopher V. Welcome to the show. Don't recognize the name, so I'm glad you're here. If you're new, hit the subscribe button and click the bell, and so on and so forth. Anyone else show up while I was not paying attention? We're looking okay here. Okay, I think I got everybody. So. Fascinating. Let's see. Oh, I got a couple. Well, let me do this one. This is another one from Gunfox. Is Gunfox here? Gunfox is not here today. And the one day that I make sure that I use some of the Discord news that Gunfox puts out. By the way, if you're not on our Discord server, in the chat, every once in a while it'll pop up how to join the Discord. And if you want to know a prolific source of news, our news tab with there's a couple people who put news on there all the time, but Gunfox is especially prolific, and there's always a lot of good stuff on there. Let's see. Yeah, my parents who are commies and blacklisted because I'm not spent my childhood going on about the evils of McCarthy. Oh, I see what we're doing here. All right. LOL, wandering around the internet. Well, happy wandering then. All right. Also, good morning, Ebony Williams. How you doing? All right. Let's get into a couple COVID things, and then we'll move on. This one, well, this is kind of I like the Reason Roundup just because they have a couple different items on here that are pretty good. Let me move this over here so you can see it. There we go. Apparently, the COVID relief payments, I guess they're going to checks for all instead of employment benefits again in the latest COVID-19 relief bill. Congress is inching closer to an agreement on a compromised COVID-19 relief package that will include renewed federal unemployment benefits and another round of checks being sent to all Americans. On Wednesday, Senate Leader Mitch McConnell urged his Republican colleagues to pass a relief bill that includes one-time checks of either $600 or $700 in part to shore up public support for GOP candidates Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in Georgia's January runoff, reports the New York Times. Well, that's a fascinating way for the New York Times to put it. They've been fighting over this damn relief bill for 2 months now, and in part to shore up public support for GOP candidates. How does that do that? Oh, that's just that. Of course, that's the New York Times. The vote on the package could come as early as Friday, and that's the same day that Congress will have to pass a funding bill for federal agencies in order to avoid a government shutdown. The final price tag for the second relief bill is currently estimated at $908 billion with a B in order to cover the cost of relief checks, a policy goal that's attracted support from as a diverse duo as Senator Josh Hawley and Senator Bernie Sanders. Lawmakers have decided to go with a less generous extension of federal unemployment benefits. HuffPost reports that the new bill will provide jobless workers with an additional $300 a week in expanded federal unemployment benefits for 3 months instead of the 4 months included in the bipartisan relief bill from earlier this week. That's serving as the basis for negotiations. That's $300 a week amount would equate to your average out-of-work person making roughly the same as if they were still working, which makes sense. Before, I know when my daughter was laid off the first time they did this, I know my daughter made a lot more money being unemployed than she was being employed, and which is fine. If that's what they're going to do, then take advantage of it. But it certainly didn't have incentive for employers to bring people back to work. And with some of these states shutting everything down anyway, it kind of sucks. Anyway, real quick, one of our recurring sponsors, BBC Rentals.
That's right.
If your wife has fucked you in family court, return the favor with BBC Rentals. We'll give the hate she deserves. BBC Rentals, unless you're racist.
That's racist!
Okay, well, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you, our recurring sponsor, BBC Rentals. Please. I'm going to try not to hack up a lung today. So anyway, trimming back unemployment benefits in favor of relief checks for the gainfully employed has sparked criticism in some quarters. There's no reason whatsoever to pay relief checks by cutting the incomes of jobless workers, Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon told HuffPost. You know, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I'd love to have a little extra cash, but I've never stopped working. Do I need a relief check when I've never stopped working? Not really. In fact, this time of the year, well, except for the fact that I can't go back to work right now because of the possibility that I have COVID. I was doing just fine until I took a COVID test. So, which by the way, my results should happen in the next, within the next 24 hours. They said 72 hours, and I'm in the third day of that. So hopefully by tomorrow at noon, I'll have my results, and I'll share those with you, and we'll see how it goes. Good morning, Becca Fairley. How are you? So let's see. Also included in the latest relief package is another $300 billion in aid to small businesses. Well, hopefully it goes to small businesses and not some of these shitbags who knew they didn't really need it but took it anyway. I'm talking to you, some of you NBA teams who probably had to give the money back. Because technically, from an employee number standpoint, they're a small business, each individual NBA team. You assholes. And then there was some other shit there was some shenanigans with that. Hopefully it's strictly to small business. $25 billion in assistance to emergency housing assistance. That's a good thing. A lot of people are having difficulty paying their rents, paying their mortgages. Hopefully that they make it simple enough for people to get the help they need. And then finally, and a month-long extension of federal eviction moratorium issued by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That moratorium expires at the end of the year. PDawgKnight, after the show, get elderberry syrup. Take 1 tablespoon 3 times a day. It will knock that crap out. Also, ginger and lemon tea. No alcohol, sir. It's counterproductive. Oh, well, I just use it as a cough suppressant. But you will take that advice, Riesler. Thank you so much. We'll check that out. How much does the test cost? Well, that's a good question. I'll answer questions right now. I believe the test is $129. My insurance covers it. Plus, they had when I went to sign up for it, they make it so that there isn't an out-of-pocket cost whether you have insurance or not. But because I have insurance, my insurance will cover it. But I think the test was $129. And if I remember, I was reading if I was reading that right. Anyway, let's see here. If the CDC has any say over evictions, yeah. That is not the truth. Avocado Diabli. If the CDC has any say over evictions, they really don't. But it's weird that they would do that. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Who says, welcome to the end of the Republic with government bribes. Yeah, I'm Senator Wyden, who I normally wouldn't agree with on anything. Why are we bribing people who don't need the checks? Yeah, it's great, but I'd rather help people who are unemployed. I'd rather help people whose businesses are FUCK'd due to tyrant governors shutting them down. I don't understand it. But these are politicians, and that's all you got to say about that. Now, the ever pernicious Food and Drug Administration has cleared Abbott Laboratories' rapid COVID test, which costs $5 and can deliver results in minutes for at-home use. That would be great news, but for all the strings the FDA has attached to this approval. Are you kidding me? Patients would still need to get a prescription for these at-home tests. They also have to pay an additional $20 for a virtual appointment with a doctor who will supervise them administering the test. Oh my God. Government's got to get there. Someone's got to get paid. Even if it's a $5 at-home test, but they're already making you pay more just by requiring all these other things. Neither of these conditions make any sense whatsoever, right? As the Cato Institute Jeffrey Singer wrote in November, forcing people to get a prescription for the at-home COVID test burdens them with the expense in time and money of going to a doctor's office to get the prescription when they don't even need the doctor to perform the test. It also subjects them to the risk of contracting COVID if they do not already have it from the other patients in the waiting room or lobby. In short, it erases many advantages of an at-home test. If I could have had an at-home test, whoo! I would have did an at-home test. And what does it say? It says if you find out in how long? Deliver results in minutes. I wouldn't be waiting 72 hours. And if I don't have COVID, I probably would have been back at work right now. But I have a feeling I have it. I've been running a fever now in the last couple days. Although, you know what? The nice thing is I've been doing a combination of ibuprofen and acetaminophen on off alternating schedules, which has been keeping my fever down. So that's good. But my God, why would they do that? The added cost and hassle of actually using these at-home tests will inevitably dissuade some people from getting tested altogether. That means more infected folks will needlessly isolate themselves, or people who unknowingly have the virus will go about their business as usual. Neither outcome is great for those who are eager to safely and quickly return to normal life. Yeah, I would have loved to have a $5 at-home test. Now, the thing I did, if you watched my video the other day, I called, I went online, filled out a little survey at Walgreens. I didn't have to have a doctor's approval of this test, and filled out a small survey. They said, yes, you're eligible to get tested. Put in my information, sent it, clicked go. And then they sent me an email with my confirmation, and I did a drive-through test where I self-administered the swab in my nose, as you saw, and dropped it in the drop box. So it wasn't as cumbersome as I thought it would be. It didn't have to go get a prescription or have a doctor approve the test. But I would have loved to have had a $5 test instead of a $129 test, even if my insurance covers it or not. And them making it just a hassle is kind of crazy. Anyway, the state of Victoria in the state government in Victoria, Australia, imposed some of the most draconian lockdown restrictions in the developed world. A new state government report has criticized that harsh policy for violating the rights of public housing residents. According to the New York Times, the sudden lockdown this summer of 9 public housing towers in Melbourne that left 3,000 people without adequate food and medication and access to fresh air during the city's second coronavirus wave breached human rights laws. An investigation has found. Sorry, guys. The report released on Thursday by the Ombudsman in the state of Victoria, of which Melbourne is the capital, said that the residents had been effectively placed under house arrest for 14 days in July without warning. All right. And then they have some quick hits. You can check this out. I'll have the links today, which will be in the description down below. All right. In fact, let me fix something real quick here, just so you know that these links are not the links for today. I always forget to do that. So if you want links to the articles we read today, right after the show, I add them to the description down below. And I also put a link to the show and the links of all the articles that I look at or we go through on the Discord server if you're a member of that. So anyway. Hello, John Arnott. Yeah. Anyway. All right, let's move on. So let's get back to the title of the show today. And we're going to go through the evidence. Because, you know, like I said earlier in the show, CNN, and it really got on my freaking nerves yesterday. And it was in a tweet by CNN. Did I not tweet out the show today? I did not. Well, that's just great. Well, I retweeted Becca and Cynical Lindsay because I forgot to tweet out the show today. It was CNN. Every time they mention the president, somewhere in their mention of the president says something of the effect baseless when he's talking about election fraud. Baseless. And had they been paying attention, and again, you don't have to believe the evidence, but the idea that there is no evidence, that would be more baseless than the president's statements. Now, you could say the evidence is wrong. You could, if CNN had an investigative side to their news division, they could investigate some of it themselves, or maybe interview some of the people who have been witnesses in multiple states, and they would see that, well, it's not necessarily baseless, but they don't have to believe it. But there's evidence, right? So this is going to be the main article today. Evidence of national fraud during America's 2020 presidential election, a compendium. Regardless of where one falls politically, the sanctity of the vote is the bedrock of a functioning representative democracy. Voters have to believe their vote matters and that the vote is free, fair, and accurate. By the way, I'm not even convinced that Trump didn't win my state of Minnesota. Now, I'll get into that later. The basic facts of the 2020 American presidential election are concerning because mounting evidence indicates there has been a concerted effort by state Democratic parties to flip the election from President Donald Trump to the former Vice President Joe Biden in a number of key swing states with the help of notoriously corrupt Democratic Party machines in at least 5 American cities: Detroit, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Atlanta. And I would like to add Minneapolis, St. Paul. I really do. I've been thinking about that a lot. Anyway, here are the basic facts of the case. On election night, when America went to bed, President Trump had a commanding lead in virtually every swing state, as well as Virginia, which no one expected him to win. However, when America woke up the next day, we found that he'd lost the leads largely on the basis of mail-in ballots found in the middle of the night and out from under the watchful eye of legal election monitors. What's more, these massive caches of votes, almost all of which were for former Vice President Joe Biden, came via very large dumps. I could relate. Primarily from the 5 aforementioned cities in states predominantly run by Democratic governors, except for Georgia. When one looks at the statistical likelihood of the reported turnout, the numbers are so improbable, they're more at home in a one-party state like Saddam Hussein's Iraq or North Korea. What's more, Biden's victory does not square with the results of the Republican Party nationally. Republicans won 28 of 29 competitive House seats, and the Democrats were unable to flip a single state legislature. Joe Biden secured a scant 3 of the so-called bellwether districts that almost always choose the winner, one of which was in Delaware. Judicial Watch found that 353 counties in 29 different states who had higher than 353 counties in 29 different states that had higher than 100% turnout. Anecdotally, swing states tend to follow Florida in terms of swinging left or right. This is particularly true in Michigan, which has voted in lockstep with Florida since 1968. Nearly 36 states had counting machines connected to the internet during the election, which is inherently insecure. Joe Biden's lead among mail-in ballots was massive in 2 states, Michigan and Pennsylvania, while it was in the single digits in most states. Evidence of chicanery, irregularities, and outright manipulation have poured in from a variety of states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Texas, New Jersey, Nevada, and Arizona. This evidence could easily be dismissed as simply weird if one is being generous or naive. While much of this took place at the state level, there are also irregularities that are occurring across state lines, and these are worthy of consideration. It's not evidence per se, but there was a massive spike in the number of Google searches for election fraud punishment in swing states. Excuse me. That's hilarious. That made me cough more. There's a massive spike in the number of Google searches for election fraud punishment in swing states in the 30 days leading up to the election. Before we explore the details and the data of what's happening across the nation on election day, with flagrant and often sloppy irregularities occurring from coast to coast, elsewhere we explore similar efforts in the key swing states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia. All of the posts in this series will be updated as more credible information is covered. Oh, I thought this had the whole thing in there. So hang on a second here. Okay, well that wasn't exactly what I thought it was. Anyway, it's still dark and I'm already pissed. I'm not sure what that means. Where's part 2 of this? Oh, okay, it's not there. I'll post in this series. There we go. So, here we go. Oh, this has all of them. Okay. So, part 2. So, let's talk about Georgia. Regardless of where one falls politically, the sanctity of the vote is the bedrock. Okay, that's the same intro. Here are the basic facts. Okay, it's the same. Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. One Georgia state law that makes it incredibly easy to commit voter fraud in the state. There is no length of residency requirement in the state of Georgia. Indeed, the Georgia Democratic Party is hoping to leveraging this quirk into Georgia law to flood the state with outsiders in the event that there are any runoffs in their 2 Senate elections this year. This frankly calls into question any result coming out of the state. However, there are more specific reasons to consider former Vice President Joe Biden's Georgia victory a steal. Oh, they featured Rich on here, the People's Pundit. If you're not following the People's Pundit, either on Twitter or he has a site too, a real good follow. He's an expert pollster. His polls were the only ones that I could find that were accurate this year. Anyway, there are the usual types of shenanigans we have seen throughout the 2020 election. For example, the glitches in counting that always seem to favor Biden. People's Pundit reported that there was 132,000 audit red flags for registered voters in Fulton County alone. Voter irregularities are nothing new in Georgia. There were 1,000 examples of double voting in September 2020. There are, of course, just the ones that we know about. Matt Brainerd, the executive director of Look Ahead America, and the former data chief strategist for Trump for president, reports massive irregularities pointing toward fraud in the state's 24,475 votes, likely ineligible because the person no longer lives where they are registered to vote. More than 250,000 Georgians requested ballots but never received them. He has uncovered 20 dead people whose ballots were processed. Vote curing, where absentee and mail-in ballots are fixed to reflect the alleged intent of the voter, is also taking place in Georgia. The fact that Democrats are training an army of canvassers to go door to door trying to find people and get them to fix their ballots. A virtual training seminar appeared online just for this purpose. Of course, no story of election fraud in 2020 would be complete without mystery ballots arriving in the middle of the night. A particularly disgusting piece of chicanery in the Peach State is the situation with military ballots. All told, there were almost 9,000 military ballots outstanding. While it's possible that some in the military failed to turn theirs in, there will still be thousands of ballots outstanding unless these military ballots are found soon. Georgia has experienced similar glitches, all of which favor Joe Biden, as Michigan and other states using the same voting software have occurred. NOQ Report has compiled a state-by-state index of vote switching, with 17,407 votes switched in Georgia alone. Real Clear Investigations reported on glitching in the Georgia vote counting software. This includes a surge of 20,000 mail-in ballots for Joe Biden at the same time that there was a mysterious disappearance of 1,000 votes for President Donald Trump. It is unlikely that this is a unique, single, isolated example. Georgia was one of the states where counting mysteriously stopped, only to be resumed in the middle of the night. There was at least a pretense of an explanation here. They claimed there was a broken pipe that needed repairing before counting could continue. This later turned out to be either a major exaggeration or total fabrication. Both U.S. senators from Georgia have called upon the Secretary of State, a Republican, to resign due to election irregularities and potential fraud in the state. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the link that has all of these in here. This is this whatever Libertas Bella has all these different states. And if you want to go through some of those, I mean, I'm sure you've heard most of this anyway, but I'll leave that as one of the tabs today because we'll just keep it simple. Let's see here. Good morning, Ryan himself. Nice to see you here. Not always seem to be 100% of the time. All right. Let's see. What else I got here? Oh. Senator Ron Johnson got a little feisty the other day. And he ripped into Senator Peters for claiming that well, you know what they like to say, anything that looks bad for Biden and good for Trump is Russian disinformation, right? Well, Senator Ron Johnson rips into Senator Peters. Excuse me. Sorry, gang. I'll get through it. Senator Ron Johnson rips into Senator Peters for claiming Hunter Biden's story was Russian disinformation. It's like, haven't they figured it out by now that it's not Russian disinformation? Let's see. Do they have the clip? Let's just watch the clip. Because all we need to do is see the clip. That's all I care about here.
In my opening statement, that should provide comfort that we have that paper backup. But I just have to talk about Russian disinformation, because the people peddling it are not on my side of the aisle. Senior Democrat leaders, including Ranking Member Peters, were involved in a process of creating a false intelligence product that was supposedly classified. They leaked to the media that accused Senator Grassley, the President Pro Tem of the Senate, and myself of accepting and disseminating Russian disinformation from Andrei Derkach. I'd never heard of the person until they brought it up. Senator Peters introduced that false information, Russian disinformation, into our investigation record. 50 people associated with the intelligence community after our Hunter Biden investigation and the revelations of the Hunter Biden computer said, oh, this is Russian disinformation. Now we find out, no, it's a real investigation by the Justice Department. So it's just galling, and I just have to point out that the purveyors of Russian disinformation, Hillary Clinton's campaign, the DNC, the Steele dossier, the Ranking Member Peters accusing Senator Grassley and I of disseminating Russian disinformation, that's where the disinformation is coming. That's where the false information, the lies, the false allegations. I can't sit by here and listen to this and say that this is not disinformation, this hearing today. This is getting information we have to take a look at to restore confidence in our election integrity. We're not going to be able to just move on without bringing up these irregularities, examining them, and providing an explanation, and see where there really are problems so we can correct it moving forward. Senator Paul.
Mr. Chairman, I got to respond to that. I mean, you're saying I'm putting out information. Well, one, I had nothing to do with this report.
You lied repeatedly.
I did not.
You lied repeatedly in the press that I was spreading Russian disinformation, and that was an outright lie. And I told you to stop lying, and you continue to do it.
Mr. Chairman, this is not about airing your grievances. I don't know what rabbit hole you're running down.
You talked about
love
Russian
going down rabbit
disinformation.
holes.
Senator Paul.
This is simply not what we're dealing with.
Paul.
But Mr. Chairman, you can't make these false allegations and then dropping it there. That is why this committee needs to return back to its partisan things. This is terrible what you're doing to this committee and all the great work that you talked about.
It is what you have done to this committee.
It is not
falsely
the case.
accusing the chairman of spreading disinformation. Nothing could have been further from the truth, and you're spouting it again, which is why I had to respond. Senator Paul.
Mr. Chairman.
Judge Starr.
Ding.
Judge Starr. It's been alleged that 60 courts have refused to hear these cases. Therefore, there was no fraud in the election. I guess another way of looking at this is that the court cases have been refused for procedural.
All right, so anyway, good for Ron Johnson for having a pair. Reclaiming my time. Hello, Fight for Your Rights. How you doing? Yeah, I mean, the idea that, Russian disinformation, go GFY. All right, let's see. What else do I got here? I got a bunch of stuff. Oh my gosh. So this is just some stupidity by the Pennsylvania Attorney General. And this is just stupid. Okay. Look, y'all know who Mike Lindell is, right? He's the MyPillow guy. Now, is Mike Lindell a dangerous human being? I don't know. I don't think so. But apparently, the Pennsylvania Attorney General believes that Mike Lindell, anything from Mike Lindell is inappropriate content. Inappropriate content. Pennsylvania Attorney General tells his kids to avert their eyes when MyPillow's Mike Lindell is on TV. Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro tweeted that he and his wife told their children to avert their eyes when MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell appeared on TV. That awful MyPillow guy just came on while our family was watching the Sixers game together, Shapiro tweeted Wednesday. Lori and I yelled at the TV and told the kids to avert their eyes because there was inappropriate content on the screen. Shapiro tweeted, I'm wondering if his kids wanted MyPillows for Christmas, and I think he just ruined their holiday. That awful MyPillow guy just came on while our family is watching the Sixers game together. Laura and I yelled at the TV and told our kids to avert their eyes because there was an inappropriate content on the screen. You little bitch. The MyPillow CEO is an outspoken supporter of President Donald Trump and championed the president in an interview with former Daily Caller video columnist Stephanie Hamill. Lindell talked about what was happening with the economy then and what its implications were for business owners like himself. Anyway, that's just some stupid shit. Oh, Sarah, hi. Lady Boomer says hi. She always says to say hi if you ever happen to come on, and I'm glad you're here. All right, let's see. Oh, this is interesting. I meant in Georgia, they're having the runoff election, right? For the senators. And surprisingly, an Obama judge seems to have maybe done the right thing here. Obama judge denies lawsuit to reinstate 200,000 purged Georgia voters before the runoff. Last week, I told you about a lawsuit to reinstate over 200,000 Georgia voters before the January 5th runoff, which had been purged from the voter rolls in 2019. And that the judge, an Obama pick, would decide on the case soon. Well, now we have his decision. A federal judge on Wednesday denied a lawsuit seeking to restore 200,000 people to Georgia's voter rolls ahead of January 5th Senate runoffs, though he acknowledged there may be discrepancies in the records relied on to cancel those registrations in December 2019. The suit has been brought by a coalition of groups that advocate on behalf of voters of color, including Black Voters Matter Fund and the Rainbow Push Coalition. The group argued the 200,000 voters removed from the rolls a year ago had their registrations canceled because they had allegedly moved out of state, though the suit said, according to experts in the field, in all likelihood, they had not. The suit claimed the action was a violation of the National Voter Registration Act. State officials said they properly followed the law to-do list maintenance. Not only did the judge deny their request, but did it because they lack standing. Oh, interesting. He also didn't believe the state of Georgia acted discriminatorily. Judge Jones first found that the groups lack standing, ruling that they had failed to satisfy a pre-suit notice requirement in the National Voter Registration Act, addressing the group's claims that the removal of the voters violated equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment. Excuse me. Judge Jones wrote that while they had shown there were issues with the accuracy of the records used to cancel registrations, that the canceling process itself was not done discriminatorily. Plaintiffs have shown that Georgia's list maintenance process may not be accurate in identifying voters who have actually moved, but they have not shown or even alleged that the process is applied differently to any class of voters, Judge Jones wrote. Here, there is no evidence at this stage that the list maintenance process is not uniformly applied. The judge also ruled in part that the process of returning voters to the rolls would impose an undue burden on the Secretary of State's office as it currently administers an election, as well as create confusion around the January 5th Senate runoffs. Here's the thing. So they were removed in 2019. So anyone who may feel that they were removed from the voter rolls at that time had since 2019 to register to vote. You know what I'm saying? I believe they even have some same day registration in Georgia. So I don't know why I don't know why that's a major problem, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's not it doesn't seem like it'd be a tough fix, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. But anyway, surprising that that seems like a good thing, that they did the right thing there. Let's see. What's this? Where the hell did that happen? Oh, there it is. Oh, what's also interesting in Georgia, there is a bunch of, we see this in a couple states where they're going through and auditing a lot of the people or a lot of the vote counts and things like that. And I know in Nevada it's a big thing. There's 48,000 people who are shown as voting twice. And same thing in Georgia. Well, in Georgia, interestingly enough, with the U.S. Senate runoffs near, Georgia's not prosecuting its unprecedented number of double voters. Double voters typically mailed in or dropped off ballots before Election Day and then also showed up to vote in person and were allowed to vote despite being flagged in the system. Now, there is a possibility that a number of these voters maybe came in to vote and were surprised that they already voted because perhaps someone else got a hold of their mail-in ballot and voted in their place. So I understand, but more than 1,700 Georgians were singled out for illegally casting 2 ballots in the 2020 elections, including last month's hotly contested presidential race. But their fraudulent votes weren't canceled out, according to state election officials. And so far, none of the cheaters have been prosecuted, raising concerns about continued fraud as Georgia prepares to vote again in the twin U.S. Senate runoff election next month. The majority of double voters were Democrats who cast an absentee ballot. Well, then I know it's okay. Never mind. They cheated. A majority of the double voters were Democrats who cast an absentee ballot either by mail or drop box and also voted in person on Election Day, officials said, which is a felony under state law. The highest share of offenders were from Fulton County, which includes Atlanta, many of whom were allowed to cast a second ballot by poll workers, officials said. I think the poll workers need to be looked at too. Hundreds of workers assigned to county poll sites were recruited and trained by the Democrat-run Georgia chapter of the ACLU and a minority-owned temp agency run by Democratic donors, according to the documents obtained by Real Clear Investigations. Most of them were young and inexperienced. Before the election, the ACLU urged anyone threatened with prosecution over Anyone threatened with prosecution over double voting allegations to contact the chapter for legal assistance. It is now signing up poll workers for the January 5th runoff races, and the temp agency, Happy Faces Personnel Group, remains under contract with the county to supply workers for that critical election, despite complaints from poll managers and poll watchers that its recruits were poorly trained and highly partisan. The Georgia runoff will determine the control of the Senate. Though, by the way, if you haven't been paying attention to the that runoff race. Right now, the only poll I've seen was the Emerson poll, which shows both the Republican candidates having, I wouldn't say significant lead, but comfortable leads in those races as far as polling. And it's almost completely and utterly partisan. So there's not going to be a lot of crossover votes. So it seems to me that in Georgia, turnout is very important in the Senate race. Excuse me, Senate races. And so it's going to be interesting if you're going to have any of the same type of counting shenanigans that we had on the normal election day. Be very interesting. Anyway, though the number of suspected double voting felons is the largest in state history, Real Clear Investigations has learned that no cases have been referred to the state's attorney general for criminal investigation. Quote, this office does not have any referrals on double voting cases so far from the state election board related to the June 2020 primary or November 2020 general election, said Katie Bird, spokesman for Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, a Republican. And that's perhaps a problem. Maybe people would stop doing it if some people got prosecuted for that shit. But you know what? That's a political firestorm waiting to happen. We'll see what happens. Good morning, low rider. Go a little slower. Doop, 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 doop. All right. Let's see if I can. Let's see. I was going to talk about Mitch McConnell, but I'm going to pass. Let's see here. Oh, so maybe you heard this story, but you know, the crowd that is always talking about, who's always been bitching about Trump's decorum, and you know, they've been complaining for years about Trump's decorum. Well, apparently, what the hell's going on here? Oh, I see what happened. Biden's deputy chief on Republicans. I'm not saying they're not a bunch of fuckers. Mitch McConnell is terrible. Is the left shocked that Republican rebuked calls for unity? Oh, look, Glamour interviewed 2 Democrat women over the hardship of juggling campaigns and motherhood. Aww. Magazines never do this with Republican or conservative women. Jen O'Malley Dillon, Joe Biden's campaign manager and his pick for deputy chief of staff, told Glamour that while she wants unity, she admitted Republicans are a bunch of fuckers. So Biden preaches unity, compromise, coming together in his administration. Weird how all newly elected presidents promise those, and yet it never happens. At least O'Malley Dillon tells the truth about what goes through a Democrat's head. Is this oh, it's not video. Anyway. From the interview, that might be this is a question. That might be what we're missing. Is that redefining of compromise, that it is or it can be the ultimate victory. And her answer, yes, exactly. And frankly, that's what we need. The president-elect was able to connect with people over this sense of unity. No. Joe Biden hasn't connected with anybody. That's the thing. He's been hidden. Nobody even has a strong opinion about Joe Biden because they haven't heard from him. It's all made up bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to finish this somehow. The president-elect was able to connect with people over this sense of unity. In the primary, people would mock him like, you think you can work with Republicans? That's not mocking him. Mocking him would be making fun of the fact that he can't complete a frickin' sentence. You know the thing. You think you can work with Republicans? I'm not saying they're not a bunch of fuckers. Mitch McConnell is terrible. But this sense that you couldn't wish for that, you couldn't wish for this bipartisan ideal, he rejected that. From start to finish, he set out with this idea that unity was possible, that together we are stronger, that we as a country need healing, and our politics needs that too. Which is not to say it is easy. It's like a relationship. You can't do politics alone if the other person's not willing to do the work, i.e. agree with us. Then that becomes really hard. But I think more than not, people want to see impact. They want to see us moving in a path forward. They want to do their work, get paid a fair share, have time for themselves and their families, and see each other as neighbors. And this overhang of this negative, polarized electorate that politics has created is the thing that I think we can break down. What did she say earlier in this thing? I'm not saying they're not a bunch of fuckers. That's very unifying. And I'm about to puke because after almost every answer, the interviewer told O'Malley Dillon, quote, I love that. That is so good. Yes, they did everything they could to be unifying over the last 4 years. They bit their tongues and tried to see the good that our president and the people around him were trying to do with this country. And they gave President Trump credit for the economic impact that he had on the first 3 years of his presidency and his real concerted effort to try to, get information out during the COVID thing. They gave him credit for the vaccine. Yes, they're absolutely, they've been trying their damnedest to unify us all these 4 years, but they just couldn't do it. So now you need Joe Biden to do it. But unity to them actually means obey us. What a joke. What a joke. Anyway, that was hilarious. All right, let's finish up with something. I'm going to skip some of these. I have so many here there. Oh, by the way, other big news yesterday that I forgot. Project Veritas released a Clinton State Department Assange call recording. I don't want the latest news. Okay. I don't know if you saw this, but so there was, here, I'll just pull the article up. In the audio, Assange can be heard warning U.S. authorities about impending classified leaks. Assange remains in prison in the United Kingdom while rumors of a presidential pardon circulate. So one of the reasons the United States has been asking for extradition of Assange was they're part of the charge, or the charges against him, is that some of the things that leaked through WikiLeaks were not redacted, and his as far as people, places, whatnot. And so they're saying that, you know, he didn't do anything to mitigate the damage that kind of thing could cause. But if you listen to this recording, it's right here. Project Veritas obtains a recording of a call between WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and lawyer in Hillary Clinton's State Department. He warns the U.S. government trouble was coming their way with unredacted release of classified cables stolen from WikiLeaks. So he warned them that someone stole some of these cables. And let's see, how long is this? Well, here. Tell you what, I'm not going to play this because it's about 4 or 5 minutes long. But so check this link. It'll be in the tabs when I put it. I'll add it to the description down below. But if you haven't listened to it yet, it's interesting that he did warn them that somebody had stolen this information from WikiLeaks, and that they would probably there'd be some form of unredacted release, and so to get their ducks in a row to to mitigate any possible damage. And again, that's one of the reasons the State Department wants him. I think there's an outside chance that he will be pardoned by the president. I don't know. You know, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions between him, Edward Snowden, who, yes, Edward Snowden is let me think about Edward Snowden. Look, he's a whistleblower. Caused issues. The jury's out as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people are very anti-Edward Snowden. Some think he should be pardoned for being a whistleblower. And, you know, the bad things that happens that our government does sometimes needs some light shed on them. And, you know, in his case, there were some consequences that were not good that came out of that. But we did get to know about the NSA monitoring everybody, which is not a good thing. So it's kind of it's a double-edged sword as far as Edward Snowden's concerned. But Julian Assange is a journalist. And whether you like what he does or not, I mean, he has released things that have been damaging to both the left and the right, Republicans and Democrats, or just bad government policy around the world. And so I don't know. Snowden is a glowy that outed the NSA because the NSA was collecting on the glowies as well. Yeah. Good morning, Richo. Or good afternoon, or good evening, actually, isn't it? I can't remember. You're in Australia, and it's opposite of us. So, well, we have another sponsor. Thank you, Uncle Bobbity, for the donation via Streamlabs. Here at 1776 Funerals, we've been developing... I'm sorry, let me start this over. Here at 1776 Funerals, we've been developing Unity technology for over 2 centuries. Because, hey, what brings people together in unity better than a funeral? Small to nationwide commie problems can be solved with our bespoke solutions. Call now. Thank you. A new sponsor, 1776 Funerals. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And thank you, Uncle Bobbity, for the new sponsor. Y'all keep bringing in sponsors. I love it. We got to bring in new sponsors. So, all right. Like I said, I'll leave that in the tabs as far as that Project Veritas call, if you haven't heard it yet. Guys, I think I'm going to call it a day because I am doing everything I can not to put a lung on my camera right now. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I have to finish with this one. This is especially special. So apparently, Trump's Mar-a-Lago neighbors are doing a campaign to keep President Trump from relocating to Florida. President Trump's neighbors in Palm Beach, Florida, have initiated a legal proceeding designed to prevent the now likely outgoing president from permanently relocating to his Mar-a-Lago property when his presidency concludes in January. The Independent reported last Friday that First Lady Melania Trump was spotted touring a private school in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, ostensibly on behalf of her school-age son, Barron, sparking rumors that the Trump family plans to relocate to the state instead of returning to their previous residence in Trump Tower in New York City. A source also reportedly told People magazine that the Trumps have been touring schools across the area looking for the right option for Barron. They have looked all over Palm Beach County and neighboring Broward County for just the right place. There are several options, and they will decide soon. Even Trump's daughter Ivanka is reportedly considering making the move to Florida with her husband and senior White House aide Jared Kushner and their 3 children. Market Watch reported earlier this week that the pair snapped up a 2-acre property on the ultra-exclusive Indian Creek Island near Miami, Florida, for a cool $31.8 million. The Daily Wire noted Wednesday that Ivanka is being floated as a possible primary challenger for Republican incumbent Senator Marco Rubio, who is not among President Donald Trump's more reliable backers. The first family traveled frequently to Donald Trump's club, Mar-a-Lago, during the president's terms, and the White House and Mar-a-Lago, which was formerly a private residence before Trump converted it into a member-only social club in the early 1990s, would be a natural place for his family to settle. But Trump's Mar-a-Lago neighbors, though, have already filed a complaint about the move, demanding that the Palm Beach city government enforce an agreement they made with Trump in 1993 before Trump ever considered running for office, which demands that no person reside at Mar-a-Lago for more than 7 consecutive days. The neighbors have delivered a demand letter to the town authorities of Palm Beach addressed to the U.S. Secret Service, which said that Mr. Trump lost his legal right to permanently live at Mar-a-Lago due to an agreement he signed in 1993 when he turned his private residence into a private club, The Independent reported Wednesday. In 1993, the president made a deal that bars any of the club members from spending more than 21 days a year in the club's guest suites or staying there for longer than 7 consecutive days. Now, interesting, a deal that bars any of the club members. Doesn't say anything about the club owners, right? Anyway, at the time, the town council was assured that the president would not live at Mar-a-Lago. Attorney for the Mar-a-Lago neighbors also notes that the president would run afoul of other local restrictions like traffic and parking limits if he were to relocate his post-presidential operation to Palm Beach. President Trump could, of course, renegotiate a return to Mar-a-Lago as a private residence, but that may be complicated by a different deal the president made regarding the historic home with the National Register of Historic Places, which gives them the right to weigh in on any redevelopment. Well, or they could just buy another place down there and run to Mar-a-Lago from a rock's throw away. Anyway. All right, gang. I got through it. Doing my best. Before you do anything, before you leave, click the like button and all that stuff. I'm trying to get through these, and there's a possibility I may skip a show here, but if it weren't for the coughing, I'd be fine. I don't feel bad yet. Again, we'll get my results of my COOF test in the next day or so, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, thanks for showing up like you always do, and appreciate the people who've made donations through Super Chat or Streamlabs. Before you go, hit the like button, share the stream, do all that stuff. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, click the bell, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and that's it. I gotta go. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.